Hi, everyone, and welcome to eCHO. This is episode number 129, and we're going to be previewing KubeCon, which is coming up next week. I'm Liz Rice, and I am joined by Bill Mulligan in that direction. Okay. As always, if you're watching us live, do say hello. It's always great to know where you're watching us from. And if you're going to be in Paris next week, let us know what you're looking forward to, because there's so much going on. And we want to make sure everybody finds all the best Cilium and eBPF related content and activities, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I have a whole load of show notes, or we've put together some show notes. As always, you can find, if you look in that direction down there, the link to HackMD, where we keep the show notes, and you can find all the links in there. And I've realized there is something missing from this, because before we even get started, there's Cube Train as well. So
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the Cube Train from London, which is tomorrow morning, getting the Eurostar to Paris. I know there is a Cube Train from somewhere in Switzerland. I'm not sure what other destinations, locations they're coming from. Do you know where else they're coming from?
I think there's Berlin. I know there's one from Berlin. I think there's one from Amsterdam. That's a good question. There's a lot, actually. It's been pretty impressive to see it kind of come all together too. So unfortunately, right, I'm making the Cube Train from Berlin because I have some things this weekend, but yeah, hopefully next time.
And Rap is telling us they're from Zurich and Geneva at least. So yeah, I know there's going to be a fairly big contingent of people from Switzerland on the train. We've got a hello from our friend Nuno the Corsair. Hello. Hopefully we'll see you in Paris as well. Great. So when we get there, I think the reason why the London one at least is traveling tomorrow is to make it in time for Cloud Native Rejects, which is happening on the Sunday and Monday, I believe. Yeah. And there's some eBPF and Cilium related content in here as well, I know. So I think one that will be really potentially of interest to folks who are watching this is James's talk about how eBPF actually works. I think he's going to be, digging into the details of eBPF, what it is, how to write some code, I think. So that's going to be a good talk to catch. Also, yeah, our colleague Nick talking about CRDs on Sunday as well.
Is that Nick Young? Oh,
Nick
wow.
Young, yeah.
I did not know that he was speaking at Rejects, but yeah, I really want to catch up on James's talk after Rejects too. I guess after KubeCon, because I will be a little bit busy next week.
And our friend Stephen Augustus from Cisco going to be talking about community initiatives. So I hope he's going to be talking about or mentioning the future for Isovalent there as well, because I think we're all excited to see that soon. Oh, there is a Rejects train from Montreux as well. Gosh, there's lots of them. Brilliant. This will be interesting as well, the Choose Your Own Adventure. So I don't know if people watching have seen this, but Whitney and Victor have this YouTube series, I guess you'd call it, where they kind of put various different options for a solution head to head and get people to come on the show, describe those different projects and kind of talk about the pros and cons. And then the audience picks which solution to choose. So I think that could be a pretty interesting talk, and hopefully they'll tell us all the different things that people have chosen. I know Cilium is one of the things that did get selected by the audience at one point, so that's good to see. Anything else leaping out at you? Oh, here we go.
There's one that I'm really excited about, is from Philip, who is also at Isovalent, and he's doing demystifying CNI, writing a CNI from scratch.
Oh, yes. Is that
the
Sunday or the Monday?
on one too. It's on Monday. So
There we go. Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that could be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it'd be really cool. I know he's done a lot of great work at Isovalent too. So
yeah, I think I saw an abstract for that talk and it looked very interesting. I think we
yeah.
also skipped over one back here, Chris Cool, originally from Kinfolk, talking about eBPF. So that will be a good one to see. And I think he's one of the people originally behind Cloud Native Rejects. So
yeah, it's a bit funny for me looking through the schedule because I'm co-chair for Cilium plus eBPF Day, and I was track chair for the novice track at KubeCon. And there's a lot of great talks. In my track, I think we had 238 submissions, and there was like 10 accepted. So obviously there's a lot of other great talks. So it's cool that there's a place for all of those talks to be too.
Yeah, definitely. I think Rejects is such a good idea, and it's always a really nice atmosphere at Rejects too.
Yeah, I'm excited to go there on Monday.
Yeah, and here's another one related to Cilium. So our colleagues Michael and Piotr talking about traffic engineering with Cilium external to the cluster, which will be another great talk, I think. And I think that's pretty much all of the Cilium and eBPF related talks. Yeah, this could be fun. I explained Kubernetes to my grandma.
I also saw that one in my track decisions too. So it's cool.
Fantastic. So Cloud Native Rejects, Sunday and Monday. Another thing that's happening on Monday, and this is invitation only, is the first ever in-person Cilium Developer Summit. So, Bill, do you want to just talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I think this is a really exciting thing for me because I guess the Cilium community has been working distributed all across the globe for 8 years now. We've actually never had an in-person developer summit, and I think we all kind of know it's great to be able to collaborate all around the world, but when you can kind of have those in-person conversations, those impromptu discussions, I think it does a lot in terms of both community building and driving technical discussions and decisions forward. So the developer summit is for developers of the Cilium project to essentially come together, have a slide maybe two, and kick off technical discussions about harder things that the project is working on right now. And there's a lot of great topics that the developers of the project have come up with. So different things that we'll be looking at is like scaling cross-cluster policy enforcement to hundreds of clusters. I know Datadog has been a long time and public user of Cilium, and they're going to be talking about that with Joe. So I think that's going to be really fun. There's going to be some updates on mutual authentication and where that's going with the project. New things about discussions around like the XDS and how that fits into where the Cilium project is going. Daniel Borkman, the co-creator of Cilium, of eBPF, is going to be talking about the new thing that just came into the Linux kernel called Netkit. So improving the efficiency of networking in the kernel. And then we have a couple more sessions around Hubble, BGP version 2, and the Cilium's control plane new architecture workshop. So I think it'd be really cool to kind of get everybody in one room and have those discussions about these topics. It's also really great to, I guess, have everybody together.
Yeah, and we've got, I think, contributors and committers from half a dozen different companies, something like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I think there's around 35 people going, and something like that, like 10 or 12 different companies.
Yeah, so we're taking a leaf out of the way the kernel developer summits go by having this this kind of invite get together, and I'm really excited to see how that pushes forward the kind of progress on the project. It should be really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes us to Tuesday, which is co-located events day, and probably for us the main excitement for co-located events is Cilium and eBPF Day, which, Bill, you are co-hosting this year.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me, because I have to write the slides for both the opening and the closing still. I haven't written a single one yet in classic conference fashion, but they'll be done by Tuesday. I think this is another really exciting schedule that we've been able to put together. This is, once again, like super tough decisions about like which talks make it, and all the ones that we unfortunately weren't able to do it either. We'll be kicking off the day with a deep dive into Cilium's architecture from UC and Martinez. Like, they've been around the project for a long time. I think this is going to be a really good one if you want to learn about how Cilium actually works. Then hopefully some of the discussions from the Cilium Developer Summit will carry over to the session from Joe and Hamath from Datadog about building scalable network policy enforcement. We got a couple sponsored keynotes in there to our great sponsors, Isovalent and Solo. A couple lightning talks. I think it's cool to be seeing people starting to talk about how they're using Tetragon in production. I think we'll kind of hear more and more of those throughout the year as they kind of go on. The next lightning talk is a little bit interesting. I think it's a different use case about using Cilium on Envoy on DPU, which is like a data processing unit. So I know, like, if you looked at the keynotes for KubeCon, it's all about AI. And I think this is a little bit tying Cilium into that kind of hype cycle right now. So I think that'll be a fun talk. More talks on Tetragon. I think the Roche talk will be really interesting because they're using Cilium across like 1,000 edge clusters. So really talking about scaling out Cilium and how that architecture works. It's a really interesting use case. And I think they even have some of Cilium service mesh in there. Hot topic, like always, service mesh. So going from Istio to Cilium in the real world. This is New York Times talking about their experience making that transition. So I'm interested to hear what they have to say. Solo is going to be talking about IPv6. And then we have a couple talks focused on just eBPF because it's Cilium and eBPF Day. So I think those will be good too. Microsoft is talking about how they're trying to bring Cilium more and more to Windows workloads. Cloudflare's got another talk about, I guess, kind of eBPF internals. And then we got a few lightning talks to close out the day before I hopefully also have some slides for the closing.
Fantastic. Yeah, always great to see like a mix of really deep technical talks, some Cilium architecture, some eBPF internals, and some customer use cases. So I always think it's great to hear from the end users how they're actually putting Cilium into production. So brilliant. I think, Cilium and eBPF is going to be the best of the co-located events, obviously, but we do have a couple of other talks going on the same day. So remind me, who is it who's talking about Hubble at
Shadrach's actually giving a talk about Hubble. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, that'll be good. And then originally there was also one at Istio Day, eBay talking about their experience, but unfortunately they had to withdraw that talk. So hopefully we'll see it at a future Cilium or Istio Day.
Great. I've realized as we're putting this here, I'm going to be rushing off from the Cilium and eBPF Day to go to Startup Fest, where Stephen from Cisco and I are going to be talking a little bit about Isovalent and the kind of startup story that's led to the acquisition. So if you're interested in that kind of, business side, startup businesses, that's another interesting colo happening. So much happening all at the same time, unfortunately. And so we've been live for nearly 15 minutes and we haven't even got to like the real conference yet. So yeah, Cilium at KubeCon, is it? Yes, here we go. So I haven't counted, but there's a lot.
I think it's 26, if I remember correctly. So yeah, quite a few.
Fantastic. Well, we've got a question here or a comment here from with K3s, Windows Node and Beta seen to test Cilium on K3s hybrid is closer than we think. Yeah, I mean, we're hearing about Cilium running on Windows. I think having a hybrid cluster, that sounds great. If that is working, we definitely want to see that on
Yeah.
eCHO.
Yeah, that'd be a cool talk or eCHO episode.
Yeah. Okay, now do we want to? There's some. We clearly can't go through every single one of these talks. We'll be here all afternoon. But what's leaping out at you from this schedule of Cilium related talks?
Yeah, if you're just getting started with Cilium, Dan and Nico are teaming up. They've done a lot of great content around the ecosystem, written a lot of blogs, done a lot of labs, and they're doing a Cilium introduction back to the basics. I think that'll be a nice way to introduce a lot of people into, I guess, the Cilium ecosystem. So if you're new, I definitely recommend checking out that talk.
That is great, and good to see that newcomers to the ecosystem are being inducted into bee-related puns right from the get-go. Excellent. I'm going to plug one of my own talks, actually. So I'm going to be talking with John Fasterbend about eBPF's abilities and limitations. And the reason why I want to plug that is because if you want to see just how powerful eBPF is these days, well, John's already done one talk at something like Linux Plumbers, I think, about Turing complete eBPF. We're taking it kind of to an extreme, I would say, in this talk. The sky is the limit in terms of what you can implement in eBPF. So come along to that talk and see the pretty incredible things that he's been able to put together, and we'll walk you through what are the limitations of eBPF today. What can't you implement? I think that will be fun.
Yeah, and then the last one I want to give a shout out to is there's a speaker from Sicredi, which is the largest credit union in Brazil, talking about how they're using Cilium in distributed Kubernetes clusters and leveraging cluster mesh. So we actually did a case study in our review with them, and that'll be coming out soon. Now is a really good case study. So either catch the talk or read the case study once it comes out after KubeCon.
Fantastic. So once you've been to KubeCon and you've learned so much from all these talks and maybe some of the labs that we'll talk about later, you'll be ready to take the new Cilium Certified Associate exam, which a bunch of people from across the ecosystem have worked on over the last few months. And I believe it was announced at the last KubeCon, but now it is going to be live and you'll be able to sign up for it. I also noticed that it's got a price here, but I'm pretty sure that you can get a discount on this exam next week, if I am not much mistaken. So keep your eyes out for that. If you want an official certification from the Linux Foundation to prove what you know about Cilium, you will have that opportunity.
Yeah, I think this is kind of exciting for me because I think talking to a lot of people from, I say jokingly here, the last generation of networking, kind of the CCNA from Cisco, I think it was kind of like the big thing that everybody wanted to get. And I think it's cool to see these professional certifications around Cilium coming out. And I think we'll start to see more and more people using them and recognizing them as an important part of kind of like your networking career. So more to come.
And Rafa is confirming that there will be discounts for people who take the Cilium Discovery Labs, which will be available on ISO Valence booth. So you can come and learn about Cilium through these labs, which we'll be hosting on the ISO Valence booth, and then you can get a discount, which is great. And we also have a question from Marlon. Hi, Marlon, asking about the core material for the CCA exam. And there's a link here to the study guide that I think Shedrack worked on this, didn't he? So
yeah, exactly.
Give you some really great links to a lot of material that will help you towards that exam. There's also a course that you can, I'm going to use the word buy, I'm pretty sure it's not free, from the Linux Foundation.
I think there's a free one, and they're also developing a paid one, but there's a free one right now on edX.
Great. So I hope that answers your question, Marlon. And yeah, we want to hear from folks who take that exam. We want to hear how you get on, what your experiences are, and be proud of that certification. Really good to see Cilium knowledge being recognised around the world. So we mentioned the isovalent booth a second ago because that's where the Discovery Labs are being hosted. But we will also have the Cilium project booth, which will be manned by committers and contributors from around the project. Drop by there and talk all things open source. That will be in the project pavilion. And then we also have the updates video that so as a graduated project, we were able to put together 1 minute video to describe what's happened recently. So it's a very, very short 1 minute update that talks about the new things in Cilium 1.15, which I filmed while I was skiing. So that was, I hope, brings the Cilium mountain feel to the project updates video.
Just like the t-shirt, on brand.
Excellent. Yes. There's a lot of history of. There's a really great photo which maybe we should dig out and show on eCHO one day. It's really the first Cilium kind of developer meetup, and it's basically 3 people skiing. And so Cilium was definitely born in the mountains. There's also a blog post that we've linked in the show notes from the CNCF, which gives highlights of the updates from across all of the different projects, or graduated projects at least. So worth checking out to get a picture of everything that's evolving across the CNCF landscape. And then I mentioned already that we're going to have the Discovery Labs hosted on the isovalent booth. If you're in Paris, drop by and say hello. We'd love to meet you there. And we're also going to be doing some book signings. So, Bill, you're going to be signing the children's book?
Yeah, DHL picked it up yesterday. I'm hoping it gets to Paris on time, because in Chicago, I think the books arrived about 20 minutes before my book signing. So hopefully it's a little bit more relaxed this time. But yes, please come by the booth and get a signed copy of Buzzing Across Space, the illustrated children's guide to eBPF.
And I'm also going to be doing a book signing of Learning eBPF. And so come by and get the copies of that. I have not been involved in the shipping, so I'm just going to believe that they'll be there. And Rafa's giving us a little bit more information about the labs that you'll be able to take on that isovalent booth. Do drop by, take some labs, say hello, earn badges, learn some things, meet some friends. It will be fun. So I think that's pretty much the run around everything that's happening next week in Paris. Have we missed anything?
Come say hi to us. We're real people.
Definitely. If there's anything particularly that you are interested in that we haven't mentioned, type in quickly now and we'll make sure to bring it on the screen. Meanwhile, there were a couple of other things that I wanted to mention that have happened around the Tetragon project in the last week or so. So on Monday, there was the first community meeting about Tetragon, which I gather was a big success. So I've linked to the meeting notes in the show notes. So if you're interested to come to a future edition of that meeting, you'll find all the information in that under that link. But also really great to see that there was a bunch of people interested and having questions and ideas from around the community. So that's really good to see Tetragon kind of building momentum like that.
Yeah, and that'll be an ongoing thing on a monthly basis. So if you miss this one, it's going to be every month now. So feel free to drop in and join the next one and discuss about what you'd like to see in the future of Tetragon.
There's actually a space in that meeting document where you can type in, if there's some topic that you'd like to bring up, you can just put it in there as an open session item. Same as we do for the Cilium regular community meeting as well. You can just type your name and very, very briefly what it is you want to discuss. And then it can be on the agenda for the next meeting. The other thing I wanted to mention, because I thought it was really well written, was this blog post. I think it's, have I linked it? I've managed to not open it. Let's see if I can open it here. Yeah, this blog post that Cornelius and Anastasius has written about how file monitoring works in Tetragon. And it goes into some, details about kernel core. So things like the difference between using iNotify or inode for this tracking when files are being accessed. But it's written in a really accessible way. I think it makes a lot of sense. So if you're interested in the kind of details of how eBPF is being used for things like file monitoring, file integrity monitoring, definitely check out this post, because I think it's super clear about how it works. What did you think, Bill?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I definitely had to read through it a couple of times because it's really diving into a lot of details, but I think it does give it in a really approachable and explainable way. Like even discussing like why you would want to use a kprobe over a system call when looking at what you're trying to trace in the Linux kernel.
Yeah, it's really, really well written. And I think it just goes to show how we've got some of the best minds in the world of eBPF working on Tetragon and contributing some really great code into that project. So yeah, definitely another one that I would recommend to check out. All right. So with that said, I don't know about you, I've still got to do my packing.
Yeah, definitely.
So I am super excited to meet lots of you. If you've been watching eCHO and you're in Paris and we haven't met before, do come and say hello and tell us that you're an eCHO user and eCHO watcher, let's say, eCHO participant, and that will be fabulous. We'd love your feedback. We'd love to hear more about what you'd like to see on eCHO, what you enjoy. And yeah, we get to say thank you for joining us in person.
Yeah, it's been great. And I'll see you in Paris.
See you in Paris. Safe travels to everyone who's going, and we will see you there. Bye for now.